There is a gravity.
It's Friday, June 2nd, and this is now on HNN.
Bill is passed.
The bill to avert default is now headed to the president's desk. I'm Natalie Brand at the White House with new reaction to the deal.
2 new gun bills will be signed by the governor today. We'll break down the new laws.
And I had to wait about 45 minutes last week for a hospital bed in the ER at Straub.
With Oahu emergency rooms packed, ambulances are stacking up outside rather than responding to 911 calls.
These stories, plus it's National Donut Day, where you can find free pastries coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon and happy Aloha Friday, everyone. Thank you so much for watching This Is Now. We got Mark in for Dylan today. We begin with this. President Biden will be addressing the nation in about an hour, discussing the contentious debt ceiling deal.
He is set to sign the agreement averting the country's first ever government default, which would have sent shockwaves around the world. Natalie Brand has the story.
President Biden is addressing the nation tonight on the deal that heads off a historic default.
There is a gravity, as you all can imagine, of this moment. And so the president wanted to make sure that he addressed the American people directly.
The bill is passed.
The Senate passed the bipartisan measure late Thursday with more than 60 voting in favor. The bill raises the nation's debt limit beyond the 2024 presidential election. The Congressional Budget Office estimates it also cuts spending by about $1.5 trillion over the next decade. In a last-minute negotiation, Senate leaders pledged commitments to consider emergency spending down the road and additional military aid to support the war in Ukraine, after some GOP senators raised concerns about limits to defense spending.
There's not a penny in this budget to help beat Putin.
President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy negotiated the deal. Political analysts say the mixed reviews from lawmakers across the political spectrum make it the very definition of compromise.
Both sides actually made concessions, and we should be, as Americans, proud about seeing our government work in such a fashion.
Joe Biden came into this saying that he refused to negotiate, and at the end of the day, he finally caved and gave Republicans some spending cuts that we needed as a country.
The bill now heads to the White House for a signature just ahead of Monday's deadline, when the Treasury Secretary said the U.S. would start running short of cash to pay its bills. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Both Hawaii Senators Brian Schatz and Mazie Hirono voted in favor of the debt ceiling bill. In a statement, Senator Schatz said it should never have come to this, and it is not the way to run the country. Senator Hirono says she voted to avoid a default on the national debt, which she says would have been catastrophic for our country, the global economy, and families across Hawaii. She says she takes issue with certain provisions in the deal, which she says take our country in the wrong direction. Both Senator Schatz and Hirono are calling for the elimination of the debt ceiling. Again, President Biden will be addressing the nation from the Oval Office at 1 p.m. Hawaii time to discuss the deal. Tune into Hawaii News Now's digital platforms for a live stream.
Happening today, Governor Josh Green will sign 2 new gun measures into law. State Bill 1230 restricts firearms in so-called sensitive locations, including state buildings, parks, public transportation, or businesses that serve alcohol. It expands similar measures across the state that are already adopted by Hawaii and Honolulu counties. The governor will also sign a bill requiring the Department of Education to develop and implement an active shooter training program into schools. Today's bill signing will take place at 1:30. You can watch a live stream on Hawaii News Now's digital platforms.
A 49-year-old man has died after being pulled from waters off Electric Beach in Nanakuli yesterday morning. Police say it happened at around 10 a.m. Officials say the man was found unresponsive in the ocean, and bystanders brought him out of the water, performing CPR until first responders arrived. EMS administered advanced life support and transported him to the hospital in critical condition, where he later died. HPD says there were no suspicious circumstances or any obvious signs of foul play.
New at noon, Hawaii is in line to receive part of a $102 million nationwide settlement with the maker of Suboxone, a drug used to treat opioid use disorder. State Attorney General Ann Lopez announced that she and 41 other attorneys general reached a deal with the company. In 2016, states sued Indivior Inc., accusing it of trying to extend its monopoly over the drug. This prohibits other companies from producing generic brands that would lower patients' prescription costs. The company does not admit any guilt in the settlement, but says the deal is a, quote, negotiated compromise. Hawaii will be receiving $1 million.
A 1-mile stretch of roadway between the Alelele and Lelekea bridges has been closed for over 3 weeks now because of rockfall concerns. The 3-week process to clear the debris is set to start on Thursday. Meanwhile, Maui County officials will hold community meetings this weekend to hear what kind of impact the road closures have had on residents and businesses. From 10 to 11:30 a.m. tomorrow, a meeting will be held in Kipohulu at the Kalena Triangle. The next one will be tomorrow afternoon in Hana at 1 to 2:30 p.m. at Wa'ananalua Church. One meeting will be held Sunday from 10 to 11:30 a.m. at Kaupo School. We've posted the information on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com.
Hospitals are filling up across Oahu, and that is having a domino effect on emergency medical services. Len Kawano explains.
It's a constant. Ambulances lining up outside emergency rooms across Oahu. Patient after patient being wheeled in. Calls for Honolulu EMS hit record highs post-pandemic, with more than 9,000 in April. That's filling up already packed emergency rooms. It doesn't matter the time of day or the hospital. We found ER parking lots filled with ambulances.
And I had to wait about 45 minutes last week for a hospital bed in the ER at Straub because they're just so busy.
And our hospital system, unfortunately, just isn't as robust as it was 10 years ago. The loss of St. Francis and the Liha, some of the hospitals have downsized their inpatient capacity, and they're just working as hard as they can.
Honolulu EMS has 22 ambulances. A contract with AMR can add up to 13 for the island of Oahu. Federal Fire can add 4 more for a max of 39. But there have been days recently when 10 ambulances have been parked outside ERs waiting to transfer patients.
When we're tied up at the hospital, all the ambulances are at the hospital. You know, there's no ambulances for the community.
The Queens Medical Center is launching a major expansion project that will more than double the number of bed spaces in the ER at the Punch Bowl location from 40 to 90.
Currently, Queens cares for about half of patients in Oahu who come by ambulance. at our 2 facilities. So we're always very busy. We're the level 1 trauma center. We're the only comprehensive stroke center. We're the only transplant center.
That project is expected to take at least a year and a half. Queens is also looking to expand its West Oahu location. Straub's renovation project will nearly triple the size of the current facility, including expanding the emergency department. But all this will take time. EMS is working with clinics to transport patients with minor injuries and illnesses that don't require the level of care of an ER. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Hawaii Gas says all offices and services are still open and running despite 60% of its workforce going on strike. More than 200 members of Local 996 say they're fighting for better benefits and wages. Hawaii Gas responded in a statement that it's disappointed they decided to strike and that the union is demanding a nearly 30% salary increase over 3 years. The union head says considering inflation, they deserve it.
A lot of these gentlemen and women has put in multiple years, equivalent up to 20 to 30 years, and feels that they rightfully deserve a fair, way of living. Unfortunately, here in Hawaii, we're cost out of paradise.
Hawaii Gas says it's made great efforts to move the negotiations forward and offered to bring in a neutral mediator. The company says it's deploying 142 non-union employees to maintain operations.
Developing news out of Connecticut, that's where there's been a partial building collapse. This is just a few blocks from Yale University. Officials say 7 people were pulled from the rubble with injuries, 2 listed in critical condition, with no deaths reported. It's not clear what caused the collapse, but the building was under construction. And in Iowa, a new video shows the moments before an apartment building collapsed in the city of Davenport. The footage shows one of the support braces slowly bending until a large chunk of brick falls from a second-floor window and then a full collapse. The search continues for 3 people missing in the rubble.
Encouraging developments for the U.S. labor market. A new report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows employers added 339,000 jobs last month, far exceeding an initial projection of 190,000. Unfortunately, the unemployment rate saw a slight jump to 3.7% from 3.4%, but a rise was expected.
This summer, about 50,000 travelers will go through Hawaii's airport security checkpoints daily. The Transportation Security Administration says it's fully staffed and working to make sure screenings take no longer than 30 minutes. One way is using explosive detection dogs to minimize the need to put items into bins.
They're working that allows travelers to have an expedited screening experience. It's an unpredictable and unannounced change in screening, so listen to the TSA officer. They'll tell you what you don't have to do most likely, maybe not remove your shoes, maybe not remove your electronics.
Another time saver, children ages 17 and under can use the TSA pre-check lane with an enrolled adult if they are on the same reservation. Also, USDA inspections are now done outside of checkpoints rather than inside the airport. Officials are reminding folks to plan ahead and arrive early.
Where there are waves, there's always a chance to surf, even in Yakutat, Alaska. Mahealani Richardson takes us to a break way up north.
Hey, Kiahi Tucker, Guy Hagi, and all Hawaii surfers. I'm going to tell you about an isolated and secret beach where you can have the waves all to yourself.
Nearly 3,000 miles from Hawaii's warm shores, at a spot called Sandy's in Yakutat, Alaska, it is 10 p.m. and bright enough to catch the shoulder-to-head high sets. Hokulea crew member Jonah Apo is going bodyboarding and wearing a wetsuit for the first time.
I know you surf in Hawaii. What do you think this is going to be like?
I mean, the waves look pretty nice. I mean, it's surprising. I think just the biggest thing is the cold, so we'll see how that goes. Wish me luck.
On the beach, a sign of a bear, and that we are not alone. Surfing lovers Jason Jackson Wolf of Yakutat have advice for what could be a wild ride.
There are sea lions, we just saw one earlier, but yeah, it's pretty, just be careful, they can pop up and then just growl at you and then just go back down.
How cold do you think the water is?
Don't know, don't really care.
The water temperature is actually in the mid-40s, enough to sting your face. But Apo charges and scores.
It wasn't as cold as I thought. The wetsuits really help keep you warm, just moving around in one of these. The waves here are pretty good and no one out, so it's hard to complain.
The next day, we go to a place called Boilers.
It's Ryan. Cover the chin, kind, under the chin.
I think just leave it and see how it feels. You'll warm up pretty fast.
Hokulea crew members learn the toughest challenge may not be the cold, but the constricting wetsuit itself.
Putting this on is like, it's exhausting. I don't think I'm going surfing. I'm just putting it on for show.
Leaving this reporter in a tight squeeze.
So if things go haywire, then we'll just come in the shore and then we'll reevaluate.
With low tide, it's a trek just to get to the water with foam surfboards. And then the currents push the group about a half-mile down. Once in the water, crew member Keala Kimura stood up, fearlessly taking on the challenge, bringing home bragging rights.
All right, full disclosure, I did not go surfing with the crew of the Hokulea just for my own self-preservation, but I can tell you they had a great time. Reporting from a beach called Boilers Beach in Yakutat in the Gulf of Alaska, I'm Mahia Lenny Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
Only Mahia could look that good in a wetsuit. Well, let's take you outside for a live look. Look at this beautiful Aloha Friday, Mark. Blue skies, sunshine, lots of puffy clouds out there looking over Honolulu. So what's in store for you this weekend? Our friend Guy Hagi knows. Let's send it over to him.
Now, we got a little bit of massive moisture down to the south, but really there's not much rain out there. However, there's a good chance for some afternoon pop-up showers. They don't really reflect well in this forecast model, but South Hawaii Island could see some pop-up showers over the next several days. But you can see we're in a drying trend. Very few showers in the forecast. So your 7-day forecast actually looks pretty nice. Granted, it's going to be a little bit more humid because we lose these light trade winds tomorrow and we get the light variable winds probably through Monday, even through Tuesday. And during that stretch, it's going to be a little bit more humid. And the weather pattern is going to look like this. It's going to start out fairly sunny, and then we'll get those clouds building up in the afternoon, each afternoon. And then they might spawn a few spotty showers, but those kinds of showers are not widespread and they're relatively brief. So we're not going to see much in the way of organized rainfall anytime soon.
Japan officials issued evacuation orders for hundreds of thousands across central and western Japan as Tropical Storm Awar neared the country. Officials said torrential rain disrupted transport and prompted warnings of rivers bursting their banks. Japan's meteorological agency said it expects heavy rain to keep falling into Saturday over an area stretching from western to northern Japan.
Okay, let's see what the internet is talking about today. Do you use Venmo or PayPal? Well, federal regulators have a warning. Oh yeah, definitely Venmo. So they're saying do not store cash on those platforms. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau director issued a statement saying more people are using these cash apps to keep their money, and some are even having their paychecks directly deposited to these apps. I didn't know you could do that. The problem is, unlike traditional banks, these platforms are not insured by the federal government. So that means if they go under, there's no recourse and the money is gone. So the Financial Technology Association admits that's true, but points out it's unlikely the services would collapse. But the CFPB says billions of dollars are at risk.
Would never consider having an entire paycheck go to Venmo, mainly just for paying someone back for a sandwich.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Small transactions.
Yes.
Well, this weekend, an open house is set at Ford Island. Casey Lund gives us a preview.
Aloha from Ford Island, a unique opportunity for the public to come on base and check things out here. I want to get right to Captain Mark Sohaney. He is the base commander for Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. First of all, Captain, I want to talk a little bit about this beautiful vessel we have behind us. Tell me a little bit about this and the opportunity folks can have to actually board it.
Yeah, well, first of all, good morning. Welcome to Ford Island, Casey. And as you said here, we've got one of the latest and greatest ships in the Navy inventory that was commissioned last year, and this is the Frank E. Peterson DDG 121. Again, state-of-the-art. We're so excited for the public to get a chance to tour this vessel, and it's got everything the Navy has in terms of capability. So we're definitely excited.
I think it's so cool that, you drive by Kamehameha Highway, you look out on Ford Island, you see all these ships, but to be able to get up close and personal and even board it. By the way, I want to mention that you do have to go online to register for that, but what a unique opportunity. And even if you don't do that, there's so much happening out here this weekend, right?
Yeah, so big picture, again, we are pumped up. It's free this weekend. It's fun. It's very unique. We've got the Big Little Air Show, and this is a big deal.
It was cool.
And we've got radio-controlled aircraft, and we brought in some of the best pilots in the country, and they're going to demonstrate their aerial skills. We've got 2 air shows tomorrow, 1 air show on Sunday, and then we've got a lot of other activities as well. It's great for the Keiki. They get a chance to look at some smaller model airplanes, obviously see the air show. We've got other activities. We've got military aircraft that are going to be here that they can sit in, take a look at what we have to offer here on the base here at Ford Island. As you know, Ford Island, there's a lot of history here, so folks, please come out, enjoy it, and this is the place to be if you want to pump up your Instagram and your TikTok this weekend. Please come out, and we're looking forward to seeing you.
Hey, Captain, one last question. I just kind of want to talk bigger picture here. The benefit, community relations-wise, for letting the public on, and I got to assume you might inspire some people to join the services themselves, especially some of those younger people when they get on base here.
Yeah, and we're excited because this is a unique opportunity. It's very rare that we can open up the base, and so we tried to do this before. Obviously, we had COVID, and we took a look at this, and everybody was excited. And it's a great opportunity for folks to see their tax dollars at work, and then to get a chance to showcase aviation. And as you mentioned, get some of our kids excited about it, and hopefully join the Navy or the Air Force.
Very good. Navy, right?
Navy.
Captain Mark Sohaney, thank you so much for being with us today. All the details, by the way, on all the fun happening out here on base this weekend online at hawaiinewsnow.com. For now, we'll send things back into the studio.
Thank you, Case. How about some good news, you guys? So it's National Donut Day, and to celebrate, a number of bakeries, including Krispy Kreme and Dunkin', are giving away free donuts. So nice. Krispy Kreme posted today on their Twitter that you can just walk in today and pick up a free pastry, drive-through or in the shop. And they also have a $2 original glazed dozen deal with any dozen purchase. So National Donut Day dates back to World War I. It's a tradition when the Salvation Army would serve pastries to troops on the front line. In some cases, the donuts were cooked in oil in the soldiers' helmets. Now, Mark, I know it's Donut Day, but I did not see any donuts in the newsroom today.
Exactly. I was told that they were on Sunrise. They did not make their way to the next shift.
How convenient.
So, yeah, we'll need to make some calls on that and see, where some pastries are available.
Yes.
And also, Krispy Kreme, I mean, if only we had one on Oahu, right, that we could check out. So
that's true.
What a move there.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to 14-year-old Dev Shaw, the winner of this year's Scripps National Spelling Bee. What an event this week. Jared Hill has more on his triumphant victory.
I don't need to spell it out for you.
Davila means listlessly. It's used in Scotland.
Oh my God.
Spelling at this level, with this pressure of the final round of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, is hard. But after 15 rounds and 11 amazing finalists, only one could come out on top.
Dev Shaw, if you spell this next word correctly, we will declare you the 2023 National Spelling Bee champion.
The word Samophile, an organism that thrives in sandy soils. Dev Shaw from the Tampa Bay, Florida region with a quiet confidence.
Phile meaning lover, Greek.
You're on the right track.
Nailed it.
P-S-A-M-M-O-P-H-I-L-E, Samophile?
That is correct.
After years of trying and at one point even thinking of throwing in the towel, the 14-year-old is now the champion of the 95th Scripps National Spelling Bee. The most surprising part, actually winning.
There was a possibility I imagined, but I didn't really think too far ahead. So it's still kind of surreal that it's happening.
Dev Shaw, the definition of determination, and he can probably spell it too. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Those kids always look so stressed out.
It's nerve-wracking to watch the whole event.
I did get chicken skin, though, when he spelled it correctly. Okay, we're going to have some fun. We're going to test our spelling abilities. I'm going to say my skills have declined a lot since autocorrect. But here we go. So, Mark, we're going to start easy.
This is now spelling bee.
This is easy, the easy one. Okay. Magnanimous.
All right, could you use it in a sentence?
It means big-hearted, noble, and generous.
Magnanimous. I guess say it first. How about that? Magnanimous. Magnanimous. Wait, magnanimous. Magnanimous. No.
So you were close, but you had an M instead of an N.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
All right, I have one for you.
Okay.
Auxiliary.
Oh. A-U-X auxiliary I-A-R-Y.
That is correct. I was hoping you would add another L.
All right, this one's harder.
We have time for one more?
Mellifluous.
Okay, mellifluous. Okay. Gosh. M-E-L-I-F-L-U-O-U-S.
Say that again?
What?
Oh, we're off the air already. Well, thank you for watching on digital, you guys.